Okay, next problem. In this case, we're going to be using the angle addition postulate. Angle ADB, this angle, added with this 90-degree angle should equal this angle, angle ADC. So measure of angle ADB, which is given 2x minus 5, added with angle BDC, which is 90 degrees, given by the symbol for perpendicular lines, should equal angle ADC, this angle altogether, which is given as equaling 4x plus 51. So we'll simplify and solve. First of all, minus 5 plus 90 is equal to 85. So we have 2x plus 85 equals 4x plus 51. We'll subtract 2x from each side of the equation, and we'll have 85 equals 2x plus 51. We'll subtract 51 from each side of the equation, and that gives us 34 is equal to 2x. So we divide by 2, and x is equal to 17. Now we'll go back and check the answer. So we'll plug in x equals 17 back here. So we have 2 times 17, which is 34, minus 5, which is 29. So this angle is 29. We already know this angle is 90. This angle, 4 times 17, which is 68, plus 51 is equal to 119. And now we can check our answer by using the angle addition postulate for the degree measures. 29 plus 19 does equal 29 plus 90 does equal 119. So therefore that answer checks, and x equals 17 is the correct answer. Next we have a series of statements. We want to state the hypothesis, state the conclusion, the converse, and the inverse, and also the contrapositive. So to state the hypothesis, first thing we're going to do is the hypothesis is always the statement that follows the word if and up until the word then. So in this case, the hypothesis is M is the midpoint of segment AB. The conclusion, I'll underline that, is the phrase following the word then. So in this case, that is AM equals MB. To state the converse, we keep the if and the then, and we take what was the conclusion and make it the hypothesis of the new sentence, and we take what was the hypothesis and make it the conclusion. So M is the midpoint of segment AB. I then like to jump down to the contrapositive. That's going to be an if-then statement. The hypothesis is going to be the original conclusion negated. So instead of saying AM equals MB, we're going to say AM does not equal MB. The conclusion is going to be the original hypothesis negated. So now it's going to say M is not the midpoint of segment AB. Then I like to go back to the inverse, another if-then statement. But the inverse is the converse of the contrapositive. So we're going to say if M is not the midpoint of segment AB, then we need to negate the original hypothesis, and that becomes the conclusion. And we have then AM is not equal to MB. And we have the 4 sentences. Okay, and just as a note, the original statement and the contrapositive are logically equivalent. That means if the original statement is true, which in this case it is, if M is the midpoint of segment AB, then AM is equal to MB. The contrapositive has to be true. And the converse and the inverse are also logically equivalent. In this case, if AM is equal to MB, you might have a diagram that looks like this. AM and MB. Those two segments could possibly be equal, but M is not the midpoint, okay, of segment AB. I haven't even drawn in segment AB. Segment AB would be like this segment right here. Point M is not even on that segment, but it is possible to still be the same distance away from points A and B. So because the converse is false, the inverse has to be false for the same counterexample, which is the diagram over to the right. Next thing we have to do is state a biconditional sentence. A biconditional is a sentence that puts two conditional sentences together by having the phrase if and only if in the middle of it. So we're going to have a phrase in front of that and a phrase after that. And they're completely interchangeable. So if we tried stating the definition of an acute angle in if-then form, we could say if an angle is an acute angle, then its measure is less than 90. So in front here, we're going to state one of those two phrases, either the hypothesis of that sentence I just stated or the conclusion. So if an angle is if an angle is an acute angle, then so that becomes this phrase, then the measure of the angle is less than 90. That becomes the phrase that goes over here. So a biconditional sentence would be an angle is an acute angle if and only if the measure of the angle is less than 90. And that'll be it for this recording. Good luck.